This is part 2 of the Metacognition series. If you haven't watched part 1, I recommend you watch that first, otherwise some of the points mentioned here will not make sense. For this video, I'm going to be using this chart to show you how you can enjoy working and some of the common traps that you initially may fall into when you try and balance liking work between actually working and when to push past your feelings. Initially, when people think of making work easy, they either think of two things. It's either the work is supposed to be hard and push you forward and make you more disciplined, or that you can't make work easy and all of the people on the internet are just lying to you. So in this video, I'm going to cover all of the tactics and strategies I use to make work a lot easier, meanwhile still keeping up my discipline and progressing across my discipline journey. So first of all, what you have to understand is making work easy has to do with ensuring all of these four levers are as high as they can be, while not making it so easy that you're placed in the withering stage. The reason why people are hesitant to think about making work easy is that they think that making work easy relies on only increasing this chart. The motivation chart that I'm talking about here is how much you want to work. So if you raise this all the way to the maximum, you're gonna love your work. But that's only one aspect of making work easy. If you increase your resolve to the point where there is no other choice and you have to do this at all costs, or you increase your energy so that you're in a fantastic mood and you're feeling invincible, or even going through such a hard time to the point where you don't even consider this work. All of these can very much work and make work easy, and the best way to make work easy and make work likable is to raise all of these levers. So what exactly does that look like? Now, as I mentioned in the first part of this series, what you're gonna want to do is pay attention to each of these sections and your position on it throughout the day. If it falls to yellow, what you're gonna want to do is, instead of forcing yourself to work, you're gonna pause for a second and think of ways to increase it back up. For resolve, giving yourself a reason why, it can be something as simple as internalization, which I've put here, and it's pretty much just reminding of yourself of your reason. Just write down the reasons for why you're doing this in the first place. And it doesn't have to be purpose or desire or goals. It can also just be reminding yourself of the punishments and the rewards for doing the tasks that you need to do. For motivation, there is a lot of different things that you can do, and one of the main ones that I'd recommend is just taking the time to gain clarity on the task, write down what you are trying to do, and make it into small actionable steps, just so your brain is super clear on what needs to be done. You can also visualize doing the tasks. That helps a bit as well. Aside from that, if you don't feel like it, I also recommend the 5-minute rule, where you just say that you're going to try it for 5 minutes. If you don't like it, you go off to do some chore, restore some of your energy. If you do like it, you'll get a lot more work done. That way, you're not spending so much energy and increasing your chance of relapse. Keep in mind that if you spend too much energy trying to convince yourself to work hard, that's where a lot of the brain energy will go, trying to be disciplined, until you have no energy anymore and you're just gonna switch to the fast system and you're just gonna relapse. So the 5-minute rule helps short circuit that and balance getting actual work done with paying attention to how you feel and going off of that. Now, the other two do take a bit of time to raise, especially framing, since you actually have to go through a bit of the pain to raise this bar up. But for energy, what works is generally just a chore, a bit of a reset. As I've mentioned on the 5-minute rule, if you find that it doesn't work, because you're going to be spending energy trying to convince yourself even during those 5 minutes, it's good to go on the chore just to reset your brain anyway. Because as I've put here, pushing past not wanting to work, it not only physically drains your energy because your brain has to literally spend that energy, but also emotionally, if you're going to work when you don't want to work, that's just going to make it way less fun. And unhappiness and sadness in general lowers your energy and gets you to do a lot less. So watch out for that. Aside from that, just exercising, staying healthy, that'll just get your energy right back up. The final one is framing, and as I've mentioned, it's the hardest to raise. Now, I have noted some of the tricks that you can do to very quickly increase framing and make work a lot easier in comparison. One of the biggest ones is focusing on problem solving. Initially, maybe for the first year and a half of when I started doing work, I've seen it at work, and you probably do the same. It's only when I've seen someone tell me that they don't treat work as work and they don't don't view it as anything special, that I've kind of looked a bit more into it. And if you focus on the problem solving aspect of it, you're gonna find that work is a lot easier in general. For example, me drawing this diagram could be considered work because it's a part of making the video and then uploading the video editing. It's something that I technically have to do. And if I focus on that, it becomes a lot less draining. For example, I've had this big problem with framing where I only had a few points. I still have very few. And so I had to solve the problem and find more points to add. If you focus on the problem solving aspect of work, not only will it look less intimidating, it's also likely to bring in novelty and more improvements, which give you dopamine that your brain loves, by the way. And so your brain will reward you for doing the task, doing the work, and finding improvements, which will create more desire for work. Now, aside from that, I do just want to make one final point, and especially that in the beginning, you should not force yourself to work, and you should try to instead go the roundabout way, identify why you don't want to work, which of these issues you have, and work towards fixing them. Working despite not feeling like it lowers 3 of the 4 sections. I mentioned one here, here, and here. And above all, your first goal in discipline should be to learn to just quit social media and get as much work done as possible. And again, that's not pushing past the work, that's instead trying to raise all of these variables so that work is a lot easier and you manage to get a lot more work done in general. Because in reality, we all have a limited amount of energy that we need to physically spend throughout the day. If you're going to spend 80% of your energy for 1 hour trying to be disciplined, then in the end, you're just not gonna get that much done. And some of the worst progress I've had was when I forced myself to work. I couldn't even concentrate. Now, later on, the way you progress in getting more work done and not having to overly rely on getting all of these right is naturally getting your framing up. The higher this is, the lower these other 3 sections can be. And so you can be quite tired, you can not want to do the task, and it can be not clear if you already have a lot of experience working and pushing past the pain. That can only be done when you get these right. This is part 2 of the METACOGNITION series. If you found this video useful, I recommend that you take a look at the other parts where I go more in depth on the different angles. But that's it for today. Hope you have a good day.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.